Oh my, it's Kellee White.
Hey, it's James here in Prague.
What are you up to?
Thinking about changing the world.
Me too. We should do a show together.
What would it be about?
Let me show you.
The James and Kellee Show.
I love it. I just love it.
I live for Monday nights for that cartoon. You have to throw it into a great movie.
It'd really be a great movie.
So crazy. Hi, Kellee.
Hi, James. How are you doing tonight?
Very well, thank you. Had a nice day. How was your day?
Well, my day was great, and my Thanksgiving was interesting. How was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, it was very solitude. It was great. My roommate and I had a ham turkey from the store and sliced turkey. It was a real 4 days of rest.
Yeah, mine too. I rested a lot, but I watched a really interesting movie that a friend of ours told me to see, which is called Blythe Spirit.
Yes.
You know the movie?
I think I've seen it a long time ago. It's a classic.
It's a classic. And if anybody out there hasn't seen it, they should rent it. It's on Amazon Prime. Blythe Spirit. It's 1945 with Rex Harrison and Margaret Rutherford, and she plays a medium. And you know what surprised me about that, James, is they actually used real medium terms like vibration and entities and things that I wouldn't have imagined.
Well, the British that's when the British Psychical Society too was very much involved, and they would use those terms. They would have researched that, and it was also a play for them to play. I think maybe a book and a play and then a movie. And yes, they did. They went to actual mediums to research that show, that movie, and the show. And people talk about Blythe Spirit for quite a bit. It was very interesting. Noel Coward. Yeah.
Oh, it was fun. It was fun and interesting, and I loved every moment of it.
And another one you should watch, Kellee, and everyone that's watching, A Seance on a Wednesday Afternoon. And that's a classic also. It's a British movie, and about a seance. The parents, their son dies, and the mother wants to get in touch with him, and she thinks she knew it through a seance on a Wednesday afternoon. And it's very interesting what happens. So leave you at that.
Oh, thank you. Wow.
So did you notice something different, Kellee?
Okay, let's just talk about this for a minute. So James and everybody watching, we're in the same house. It's just his house is 2,500 miles from mine, but it's the same house. So I structured my library when I moved to the farm on James's library, his office. I actually structured it that way. So I love it. I love it, love it, love it. I love the flowers. I love the bookcases. I love the book that you've got. But
yes,
my book happens to be autographed. But
well, he lives here, so
it looks beautiful. I absolutely love it.
I wanted to tell you that because every week I see the shelf, and I'm looking at that right now. So it's interesting. So today we're going to talk about spirit guides because I don't know about you, but it's one of the top 5 questions people will ask us. Do we all have spirit guides? What are spirit guides? And many questions. And I wrote the book Wisdom from the Spirit Guides. Went through your guides about this. The spirit guides for 3 years ago. Great book. It's like an encyclopedia of guide work. So tonight's show is going to be a little bit. I'm using that quite a bit, and from my knowledge there and wisdom that I've gleaned from my guides. Yeah. And we'll try to go through all the main questions you asked about guides. You're going to ask me, I guess. So.
I'll ask you a bunch of questions. I've got a bunch of questions, but I should tell you that the very first time I ever heard about guides was in your first book, Talking to Heaven.
It's a great story.
It's an unbelievable story. So I read James's book, Talking to Heaven, and I was a business person back then. And so in the book, he says, if you want to see your guides or talk to your guides, every night before you go to bed, you just ask them to appear. You ask them to tell you their names. And so every night religiously before I went to bed, I don't care what business meeting I had, it doesn't matter. I went in and every night I would say, all right, spirit guides, I want to see you. All right, spirit guides, no matter what. And then 3 years later, I was in Tahiti. And ironically, I thought about this. I was there during a lunar eclipse, which is what we had today, a lunar eclipse. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But what's important about a lunar eclipse is this is a great day if you want to start talking to your spirit guides. Because what happened to me, I was in Tahiti and I was on an island with no electricity on a small little motu. And that one night before I went to bed, like usual, I said, I want to see my spirit guides. And lo and behold, one at a time, they showed up. And I have to tell you, my heart came out of my chest. I was like Casper the Ghost. It scared me to death, actually. But they were there long enough. They presented themselves physically, so I could physically see them with my eyes. 3 feet apart and 3 feet above me, and I painted a picture of them the next day.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I just wanted to share that.
Wow. That's great.
Indian guide from India and my
Wow.
Jamaican mother, and I just
Wow.
call her mother. And it was a real experience for me. So every night, tonight's a perfect day with this lunar eclipse in Gemini. It'll give your brain a place to go. It's a perfect
So
time to start that
why don't you
process.
mention about the eclipse and I'm going to
Well,
the guide?
today it was about 1 in the morning Los Angeles time today. So it was a full moon eclipse in Gemini, and this is going to break us out of our old cycles. This is going to push us to the next place we need to be, and it's going to help us realize a new perspective on who we are and our life. And the next thing I want to add to that is tomorrow Mercury goes into Sagittarius, and that's going to be about speaking up and speaking your truth. So it's a real interesting period of time that we're in.
Yeah, and a friend of mine today was going through the beginning of that transformation, and you see it was happening. I just reminded them that right now is the time that we're transforming. Right now.
Oh, well, and we have another eclipse December 14th. So and this month is all about month of complete change for everybody. Yeah.
And there were 7 this year, and there's usually 4 in a year, but there'll be like 7 this year.
7 this year. Yeah.
Bizarre.
It's unbelievable.
So one thing about what you said, talking to your guides, and I wrote that in that book a long time ago, and of course since then I've learned other things as well. But the simple thing to do is we got to keep it simple, and because we got to remember that it's not a human thing, it's a surreal thing, it's another dimension that we're talking to. So you want to be. I wrote down because I knew people it. I knew this was going to be a question. Number one, ask the spirit, like as you go to bed at night, ask them, come in your dreams or some more, but don't demand it. Don't demand. And whenever the time is right, they will appear. Because there's a lot of things have to be in place before they'll be there. So just send it to the universe, and they know that you want to do that. That's one way you can do that. You can also write a letter to them and ask them to come through that way. Okay. The third thing, which I've used before in our shows, I have people sit, I call it stillness, quiet, where you sit in a quiet place. You will not be disturbed by outside noises of people inside or animals. And you just sit with your breath, and you're breathing in love and out fear. And that's all you're doing. It's a passive meditation. And it's like the one that I do with a spirit, when a spirit comes through. But in this way, you can have your spirit guide send a thought up to the universe, prayer, thought, to your spirit guide. I first say a healing guide. I ask you to come close to me that I may feel you and you may touch this world. Come close to me that I may touch the garment that you wear, that I may know that we may be one in unison. Whatever comes into your head, and really just put that out there. Come stand behind me. Put your hands upon my shoulders. I step out of my way, which means you step out of your head. You just put yourself in a very surrendering space off to the side. You'll always be in control. Don't worry, folks. You will not lose control. You always have control. Even in trance work, you're still aware what's going on. So you go into altered states every day when you do things daily, driving cars, reading books. We do it a lot. So step off to the side and let them come in and be very keenly aware of the subtle energy shifts and changes you will get and feelings that you'll have. And you'll know the vibration, the frequency that this healing guide comes in with. You get a sense of their energy is like. And the more you can surrender, the more you'll feel them, the easier it's going to come in. And you can ask, again, if you don't say healing guide, that's fine. Ask one of the guides to come and say, what do you do? What work do you do with me? Not for me, but with me, because we work in unison with them. So that's another way. And then look for signs too. If you don't get it that way, and you ask a guide to come to you, you can do that in dreams, or please come to me, make me aware that you are around me by showing me a sign. Now, if you do that, just pay attention to signs, like not literal signs, but signs like things that are unexpected, out of the ordinary, things that are in synchronistic order. Kellee and I had an incredible one, and I mentioned it last week, where you were seeing my backyard, my roommate Ken and myself and you, and Brian was here, and he gave us drinks and water, and he walked the house, and the three of us in unison looked up, and there was this hawk flying over us, and a sparrow flew out of its mouth. And Kellee immediately said, It's a sign. It's an animal totem. And then he told me later on it was a male psychic and there are going to be changes. And
Yeah.
within a year, I was divorced, and it was big changes.
It was big change,
And
right?
those are
But do you
signs.
think that your guide, now that we are talking about it, that your guide literally, not all of our guides work together to make us look up at that moment?
Think of all the incredible strings that spirit
Yeah.
does every single day to make things occur. We don't know in this realm all the intricacies that they have to go through to make us look a certain way, to impress us, to turn our heads, to get us feeling. They do some great work, and if we just get out of our heads for some time, we can get more impressions from spirit. And that, by the way, the hawks I found out is a new guide of mine, and I've been having hawks circling over my property for now about 2 years. And my neighbor said, James, have you seen the red-tailed hawk? I said, yes, it comes by number 6 a circle on my house every day about 4 o'clock. She said, that's never happened before here. And I said, well, you know, you're living with next to a male psychic, right?
Yes, that's right. Wow. Wow.
And they do change. So people often ask the psychic, the guides, how do you receive your guides? And really, in the pre-birth and the planning, pre-planning, when you're sitting with spirit guides, masters, teachers, they will be assigned to you depending on certain projects or lessons you're learning in this lifetime, what careers you're involved in. For instance, if you're going to be a dancer, you'll have someone who knows about dancing. If you're going to go to medicine, you'll have someone who knows medical. I was a medium. They had a scientist work with me, and they had a philosopher work with me, and I have a Catholic nun that works with me. So they're assigned to you at that time. Okay. Now there can be guides that are with you through lifetimes of experiences, and there can be guides that never knew you on the earth, just knew you in the spirit world. And remember, we go to different spaces and places. They're not just the earth and the spirit; it's all different galaxies and universes. So they could come from another universe too at another time. And also, I'm going to say that they do show up as animals. You know, and so that hawk was obviously a guide, but it's a guide. The hawk, no, it's something manipulating that hawk to know. It could be upper higher wisdom. It's probably a philosophy guide, a wisdom guide. There are many different types, and so they, depending on the type of lessons we have to complete in this lifetime, we are given certain guides who work with us. And this is something important to note, that many people think, just like they think people that pass over, they know everything. No, just because someone is your guide does not mean that they're not evolving. They're evolving just as you are, but their lessons are different. So part of their working and learning is to be one of your guides. Just like when you pass over, you will also, maybe if you choose to be a guide to somebody else down here on the earth or somewhere else, you will do that because you've had the expertise, if you will, and you can help them with that. And we can change guides in a lifetime. I write about all my book. There are all different types of guides. So there are career guides that will be assigned to you. There are joy guides, many times that are children who bring, if you will, infuse joy into that person's auric field to make them feel more happier than they are. There are healer guides, of course, and I may somebody see people that are actually healers. I see many times healer guides around them, a team of doctors and nurses.
When I do readings for people, I'll see, if I see sometimes 3 or even 4
Yeah,
guides, I'll say, are they ill? Is there something going on that I need to know about? Whenever I see that many.
yeah, and I got to tell you about a healing story with guides, if I could.
Yeah.
Again, this is a blowout story. But then there are other, so there are all different types of guides, and there are also opportunity guides, which means that, let's say you want to start doing oil painting. Okay, it's not your specialty, but you will attract to you the universal. It's a universal law, like attracts like. So you're all magnets, and you will attract you with that higher being who has a specialty in oil painting that will infuse with you certain innate abilities that are already in your soul self, to bring them forward and present to you so that you can do that oil painting. And that's happened with everything. We have cooks and chefs and entertainers.
Yeah.
All the mediums have, other mediums have passed over, and Leslie Flint comes in every once in a while and talks to me. And Leslie was one of the greatest physical mediums that I've sat with 3 times. And I have different guides come in. I've had lately, Mother Teresa has been around, which is interesting, just to say hello or just popping in. I'm aware of them just popping in. It's interesting what I've seen. So they do change. When they've finished with you, they say lifetime or just for a certain amount of time. Yes, and I hear somebody asking me a question. Can your family become guides once they pass over? Yes. When your mother's your guide now, that biggest photograph.
Oh, yeah.
Best. Yeah, you hear it. I hear it. So I have to insist you know this. And my mother was my guide for a long time. I was very surprised. I went to a meeting and I said, why is she a guide? And he said, well, your mother doesn't feel that she fulfilled her time with you and she wasn't able to be your proper mother on the earth. So she'll be able to do that now in the spirit world, which happens all the time. Happens a lot. And maybe a father didn't love his daughter enough or didn't feel he was there enough for her or son. They will help them in the spirit side. And I think we talked about this the other day when someone guides can help you. Let's do drug overdose. We had that last week, didn't we?
Yeah.
Drug overdose. That happens. We talked about this last week, but it's such a great point that many that will meet you to help you will be those who had that experience of passing over because they are aware of it. They know what mindset.
So they might be a guide as you're going through the situation, and then they may be a guide over there to bring you on the other side, and then to watch and help you through your healing. Actually,
and be teaching over there on the other side about addictions. And we have something. We can continue education over there. We can learn all different things we want to. We can take music over there. We can meet the old stuff. There's no time. We can meet Mozart, and we can meet Beethoven, and we can meet just everyone's there, and it's true.
Wow, wow. And tell us about wisdom guides. Like, what is a wisdom guide?
Well, a wisdom guide would be really a being. I'm going to say being because many people think that guides are ones who've been on the earth. Not necessarily. So there can be, for instance, this, many of the ETs, the races, if you want to call races. I always feel we put human, descriptions on these things. It really brings it down to another level because that's more than that. That they are guides to the earth. Many of the UFO, alien races, what I call that. They are definitely guides to us here. So you don't have to be on the earth to be a wisdom guide. A wisdom guide is a guide, a being that has been through many, many, many lifetime experiences of lives here on the earth and other spaces and places that they understand about the fullness of love and all these lessons that humans are learning. And they are the ones who help to instill upon you the wisdom of your higher self. They work with your higher self. The higher self is the spirit realm. And they help that to feed to your, this is interesting, they help to feed to your higher self the knowledge and the philosophy that you'll need. And then the higher self brings that down to the lower self, which is a physical. So it's almost like a vessel of like a water fountain, pouring it down. And it's really interesting. I was in Brazil once and I did ayahuasca tea because a group was coming down there. This is years ago, 15 years. And I wanted to try it before they would do it, see if it was safe. And I did it, and it was an incredible experience. I'll never do it again, but it was an incredible experience. And I remember I was it was like psychedelic. It was like the Yellow Submarine, those that Peter Max poster, those colors. And I was in a river, I think, in a floating. And my mother was looking down over a bridge. She was the other side. Everything was glistening. I said, "My gosh, the colors!" And she goes, "Yes, the closest thing you have onto your earth is gemstones, are the closest to the real color of things that exist." And then all of a sudden, I had a moment where I saw myself standing there, but it wasn't me, but it was my eyes, my mustache, and there was a gold turban. And I knew it was my higher self. And my higher self said, this is your initiation, and this is for you to remember it, and gave me an amethyst ring. Okay. A week later, but the group was in Salvador, I guess it was, in North Brazil, and they wanted to get souvenirs. I went to a jewelry store. And I thought, I wonder. So I asked the shopkeeper about if they have a men's amethyst ring. And she said, "Yes, why do you ask?" I said, "Well, I might want to try it." She goes, "Okay." She opened the second drawer. She goes, "A man came in about 2 weeks ago. He ordered this. He never came back. It was the exact ring that I will see in the vision, and it fit me perfectly." Wow. There you go. That's a sign coming through.
Wow, that is the sign.
Yeah, that's a sign. So. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. What are earth guides?
Earth guides. Earth guides are those friends we have here. We don't have to talk to this one person in your life, in everyone's life. This comes from Mr. Rogers himself, who's an earth guide. It's that not only one person, many people can be your guides here, but it's that person or persons who really help you to instill in you a sense of self-love, who help to see your higher self, your higher knowledge, who you are, your potential, if you will, who love you unconditionally, and kind of steer you on your way. My first earth guide was Connie Lee, who I dedicated my first book to, Talking to Heaven, because she was a school teacher, a speech pathologist, and she instilled in me a sense of myself, which I never had. And she said to me, you're something very worthwhile. You have a lot of abilities of love, and it'll come out in different ways. And she wasn't a psychic. She was just saying, but she would say things to me that hit my heart. Like, she knows me. And she made me believe in myself. And if she hadn't done that, I never would have been doing this work.
Wow.
So
she was an important earth guide.
An important earth guide. We have several of them. Look, every them around their lives. You're the most important people that have made an influence in your life to shift it, to change it. So I know, and then we have soulmates too. So soulmates can be, in a way, guides. Soulmates are friends and family that we come back with. One of my soulmates is Brian Weiss, who wrote Many Lives, Many Masters, Past Life Regressions. We're definitely soulmates because we just connected right away. We speak the same language. And I just think we share many lives together. Now, we could be guides of each other down here. You're a guide, you're an earth guide, I'm an earth guide. There are many of us guides here who help other people. And that's what we do.
Yeah, I mean, it really is that way. I mean, there are certain people I work with that I know on the other side I made that agreement. I'd help them in this lifetime, even if it was for 5 minutes. I knew that, so I can recognize them.
It's really interesting, and I say this a lot, but it's really important to note that you're a guide, I'm a guide. I've said this, talking to dead people, we can do that. But the hardest part of the work for me is I see the energy fields, I see the potential and the gifts and the soul's abilities, if you will. I see a soul's ability, and they don't see it for themselves. They're down on floor number 1, and they should be on floor number 50 or 90, and they have the potential, but through fear or limitation, they won't bring themselves to go up there. And my God, the view would be so much better. It would be so much clearer and easier if they would just jump in, because this earth world is the place to do it. This is where we learn those lessons to jump in. Once the other side, it won't be as easy to jump in. I mean, you'll be with the same people, the same level. You want the drama, which in some ways is good, but it's also you can't grow as much on the other side as you can here.
Oh, absolutely. We grow so fast here if we just do the work. Do you think, I mean, I often have this idea on the other side or with guides. Do you think guides talk to each other and say, oh, let me tell you about my person. Let me tell you about this. Well, or do you think they may even say, can you help me with this? I need a little guidance on this. That guides, in other words, do
How
guides
interesting.
talk?
Yes. So that's very interesting, Kelly. Good question. I don't think it's as human as that necessarily. Oh, this pain in the rear. Oh, I don't think it's like that. But there's good sense of humor. But I'm sure they talk because it's our team. We can think of it as our professorial team that works with us because they're interested in our development. Because in a way, they can't advance until we advance. So that's very interesting because we're all in this together. We all have to advance. So their job is to help us advance so they can move on too. See. And what happens is this is very interesting. So when you think of it, in the Bible it says, "My Father has a house with many mansions." And what I believe that to mean, and I've heard it many, many times from spirits, there are so many realms, spaces, and places on the other side of life that you go to that space. That I always think of the rainbow. You go to that ray that you have created based on your thoughts, words, and deeds, and they'll be the same like-minded people on that level. So your guides are on a certain level, but they have guides, and then they have guides. So it trickles down step by step by step, you see.
Wow. And
Now that's something interesting.
it's just so interesting. And so then at some point, we could be guides to our guides, depending on where our
Sure.
growth was and if they needed help and if we had learned what we needed to learn.
Exactly right. So again, it's difficult in a way to talk about these things because it is another dimension. It's
Yeah.
the laws of the human third dimensional world don't work with the seventh dimension. So the commonality that brings it all together is that energy of love. And it's through love that they work with us. And it's through love that we hear from them. See?
It's funny you said that. When I saw my guides, the thing that kept me from dropping dead of a heart attack was the love that was radiating from them. There was so much love. I could physically feel this love pouring out. And that's when I knew that our guides loved us so much that they would do anything to help us on our path. And I've often thought how tough for a guide, and again, this is my human spin on it because I have a moon in
Sure.
Cancer, but how tough it would be if you see your person that you're watching and they're supposed to go through door number 8 and instead they pick the lower choice. And I would think that they would be going, oh no.
Well, it's like a mother with a child. So
Yes.
a friend of mine has a son who's an alcoholic, and he's a wonderful, very bright boy, but he's an alcoholic, and she's always trying to get him back to normal, see him in the old way. And I said, you can't do that. You got to accept him for who he is now, and he's got to learn his journey. He's got to go on that journey. The journey's not your journey; it's his journey, and you can just support him. And that's what it's like, I guess, in some ways. That we come back with choice, we come back free will, but we have to remember that through the lifetime we gain experiences. So, for instance, we have the experience that if you go for a red light, you get hit by a car. So you don't do that. You have to learn that one. So I don't think you can unlearn things, but I do think that the soul keeps within itself a tendency of memory, soul memory, of experiences. And I do believe that, when you have your life and you pass over, you keep that sense of, oh, I didn't pass that test. I got to remember, I just got to pass that test. So you'll be tested again. Hopefully, you'll listen to your soul, your intuition, and not live in fear and go forward.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this before. The universe conspires for our highest good. We sometimes get in the way.
Always.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's so much better when you're out of the way. And life happens. And listen, I'm the first one to say. They said to me many 40 years ago, when you do this work for us, we will always support you. We'll always help you. You'll never be of need. And at the time, I said this last week too, but it's amazing that I could actually make a career, and a very successful one, at talking to dead people. And no one was doing that back when I was there. Because I think I did it from the right way. That's integrity. I think you have to be honest with it, with life, with people.
Yeah.
You'll succeed in anything. If you're honest with people and you show love and the best you can, that's all the universe asks for.
Yeah. I agree with that, James.
And when you hurt another person, you hurt yourself. We're all connected, so you're really hurting yourself.
Yeah, it's so true. My gosh. Renee, should we take a caller?
Yeah, time goes by so fast.
I know.
And I took out cards too.
Oh, we've got your great cards.
At the end, we'll do the cards, yeah.
Okay. So, can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Good. So we have Maureen. Maureen, I'm going to bring you into the show.
Okay.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Maureen.
My question is, can spirit guides be living and also be guides at this, I know we talked about living guides, but can they also be, I don't know how to explain it.
No, I'm going to help you with that.
guess,
I know what you're
as
saying.
a guide.
I know what you mean. In the spirit world. I understand. My interpretation, and I might be totally wrong until I pass over and find out, honey, because I do believe that because we are a soul which is made up of many layers and levels, if you will, and this is the densest of us, that we are, our higher self, let's say, and there are different aspects of our soul. So why couldn't an aspect of our soul right now be a guide to somebody else on the earth? Where it's hidden from us because we have to do this work this time around. But there's a possibility of that. Why couldn't that happen? It's like water can go anywhere. So I used to be very much not a believer in it, but the older I get, the more anything's possible. And we know for this year, anything is possible. So why not?
Right.
But there's always an affinity too. Remember, there's always an affinity to what your work has to be done, lessons to be learned. These are kind of experts that can help us accomplish those lessons.
Yeah. Wow.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome, sweetie.
Okay, so we have Kim. Kim, I'm going to bring you in the studio. You're live.
Hi, Kim.
Hi, it's Kim Ann. Good to talk to you guys again.
Good to talk to you.
I have a question, and I don't recall if either one of you have ever really gotten too much into dream interpretation. And I tried Googling this, and I found out a little bit, but not really exactly the situation. But over the years, I have had kind of a dream it's not the same dream, but the theme is the same. So it's a situation where I'm in a house. It's not a house I've ever lived in, and it's always a different home in the different dreams. And there's a door. You know how sometimes you have a side door on the side of the house, and you keep it locked because nobody ever goes in and out that door. And I find the door unlocked, and it kind of freaks me out because I'm like, how did this door? I'm here by myself. How did this door get unlocked? And how long has it been unlocked? And in fact, in this last time I had the dream, which was about a week ago, I must have, that must have been conscious for me because in the dream I said to myself, well, that damn door better not be unlocked. And of course I go check it, and it is. And I'm just wondering if you have any insight into what
Kellee
that
does.
might be.
I do. It's a great question, Kim. And next week, ironically, James and I are doing dreams for our topic. So
That's next week.
It's next week, but I'm going to answer this for you. When you have a dream of a home that is a different home each time. So we're not talking about your childhood home. We're talking about a different home each time.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
A different home. Yeah. So that's an aspect of you. Yeah. That's the home would be you. And a door that's a side door that's unlocked and you're scared. It's an aspect of you that you don't want to look at. So at some point you'd have to really ask yourself, what is it you don't want to look at that would cause you some fear? Because you actually said that you had some fear with the side door being unlocked. In other words, maybe you don't want somebody to know an aspect of yourself, but not just somebody, you. So this is a great time for that, because as we go forward right now, this is the greatest time to start looking at all parts of ourselves and let go of the things that are not serving you any longer. So great dream, and look forward to next week.
And I got, Kelly, same thing on the side door. I use a door, a little workshop thing I do with people. And the side door, isn't it also a procrastinator? You don't want to move forward, you don't move behind. So right there, it's safer to have it closed and locked. So you go in the front, you go in the back.
Yeah, that could be
so
me.
Procrastination, afraid to make decisions.
Afraid. Yeah, fear. Yeah.
Don't be afraid anymore. See what life would be like if you don't have fear. Just think about it for a week.
Yeah.
Okay? Try that.
Yeah, that's very interesting, though.
It is what it is.
And that's not what I found when I Googled. So.
Well, they don't know. But definitely next week, check us out. It's a good dream. Interesting.
Thanks for calling.
Thanks, sweetheart.
Awesome. Thank
you. Okay.
Okay.
The exercise of the house, Kelly. It's a good exercise. Okay.
You want to take another call?
Yes, please.
Okay. Tim, I'm going to bring you in the studio. Tim, you're live.
Hi. Actually,
Hi. Hi.
Hi. I have one number keeps showing up for very important events in my life, and that's for my the most life-changing things, anniversaries, birthdays, always on the 23rd of the month. Has that ever?
Well, James was born on the 23rd of the month. I mean, 23 is a 5 in numerology, and 5 means to bring change. We'd have to talk about it, but it seems to me if you're always seeing a 23, it's got real significance. It could also be, if you take the number apart, a 2 is a partnership and a 3 is real creative. So I'm not sure, because I don't know you, but there's something going on with this. It's important. It's a message.
It's a message. It's a sign. Don't doubt about it. And I always say to people, when that happens synchronistically like that, or coincidentally, and when you notice it in your conscious mind, it's 23rd again, look around you that day, the day before, the day after, what's going on in your life at that time.
Yeah.
That's the one you need to pay attention. I'm sorry?
It's always the 23rd, and my husband's birthday, 23rd. Everything is the 23rd. It just always comes out.
And he's still living, right? He's still living, your husband.
So maybe I should play the lottery with those numbers.
Well, maybe you should, actually.
Really?
Maybe
I would.
And James is the 23rd, so.
Well, yeah, it's a good number.
Well, I appreciate it much. Thank you.
Okay, bye. Interesting questions.
Yeah. Do you want to pull a card, James? Or you want to get one of your cards?
A couple more questions. Okay.
Okay, yeah, we've also a comment that I'd like to bring in from a YouTube friend. So let me go ahead and bring him on the screen so you can see him now.
On Earth guides, can they be heard only and not seen? How can you test that?
Well, they're physical because they're Earth guides, which means they're a physical body and a physical. So it be a friend, someone that changed your life in some way, a teacher, maybe someone who just put you on a different path. That's an Earth guide, so you would see them. They're not spirit; they're Earth guide. But they're humans. They're in human form.
It's an easy test to pass.
Yeah.
If they help you.
If they do the lessons. Yeah. Okay. We take another one. I feel like we're in a studio, but we're really not. Okay. We're in our offices.
In the same office.
Carissa, you're live in the studio.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Teresa. How are you?
Hello. Good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Long Beach, California.
Okay, very far from me. Okay.
I used to live in Long Beach, California.
Oh, you did? Awesome.
I did. I loved it. I love it.
My whole life.
Love it.
Oh, well, I love you both so much. Just want to say that first of all.
Thank you.
And my question was, my son, who's now 18, when he was around 5 years old, he had what we thought was an imaginary friend named Jacob, and he he always talked to Jacob, and he said he came to his left ear and lived right on his shoulder. And he had one of these little DS handheld game things. And one day he took a picture of himself with it, and he came in and he said, "Mom, look, it's Jacob. He's in the picture." And sure enough, there's like this complete, it was just like a head floating, but it was like a dark shadow with the eyes, nose, mouth. And I'm going, oh my gosh, like, and I'm trying to act normal. Okay, that's Jacob. But I always wondered, was that his spirit guide that came through? Or was that?
Sure, definitely, without a doubt. Oh, most kids can see, because remember, they've just come from the spirit world. They've just come from that space. So their mindset is of the spirit world. So they look at things from spirit because they haven't yet been acclimated totally to the physical, probably around 7 or 8 years of age. They're still very open, and spirit, they're around them, so they can see them very much so. Yes, very much. That's very real. And that happens with kids, ask the parents, tell the parents imaginary. I always say to parents, ask the child to find out more about that person. Like, where do they live? What do they do during the day? Do they have friends? What kind of work do they do? That's something which is very interesting. And everyone out there who's listening to this, you can ask your spirit guides, what do you do with your time there? What do you occupy yourself with? Because you'd be very surprised with the answers. They might say, oh, I visit different spaces, or I teach, or there's support groups. There are many different types of services. So I always find it very interesting because we always want to know about us down here, but we never know about them over there. And I think we really should open up to what's happening in the other realms. Just something I want to throw out.
That's a good idea. I'm going to start asking my guys, what are you doing over there? Did you see a new movie? What are you doing? You at a lecture? What are you doing?
Well, one thing I know, Kelly, and sorry, let's say they're at concert, after concerts, they will go to a concert and they will see the notes be played as colors going out. And yes, the colors you'll see colorful notes, and you'll see the harmonies and melodies, and it just float in the air. And I was also told this that, so beautiful. There's a book called Life in the Unseen World by Anthony Portia, Life in the Unseen World. And I think it was in that book or somewhere else I found out. Let's say you're walking down a street, a path over there, and you see some friend's house, and you say hello and acknowledge them, and they go, hello, and they go, there are flowers to you. Those flowers, the person will get the flowers, and they could put them down in their porch, let's say, and they could become forever into that porch. It was the thought created it, and that love has created that. And they'll always have that memory of them. If they don't want it, they'll just think it away.
Do you think that we get so frustrated down here because we cannot do things so quickly?
Yes, we get so impatient. My gosh, we get so impatient. One of the biggest lessons that our guides have taught us that you have to have patience with all things. It's in universal time. It's a divine time, not our time. And if we would accept that, boy, we'd get through things much easier. And I do believe it's because, as we discussed, the credits of the show, Bewitched was so successful, that TV show, because I think on another level, on a conscious level, spiritual level, that our souls knows that when you're back home in the spirit world, you can create things like that with your mental result. Because you do manifest just like that. And I think we have that memory ingrained in our soul. And then we sit on TV, it's like, I know this. I recognize it. And I think that's why it was.
Do you think that's why people, while we're here, some of us, I know one of them, I'll think of 5 things I have to do. And I actually think I can get 5 things done at the same time. And then I go, wait a minute, I have to go a little slower. There's something about that. Like I can think of a thought real quickly, like you, want to get it done, and then it doesn't get done as quickly as I could imagine that it would.
I just was there some past life regression too. I just love that. I just saying. Well, because I think in a lifetime review, perhaps, is just one hypothesis, that there was maybe in that lifetime you didn't get your missions accomplished. You lived that good life. You didn't do much. You hung out, didn't get things done. So you made sure in this lifetime that you'd be someone who gets things done, get those jobs, the chores done.
But you're right.
Yeah, that happens to a lot of us. I'm very good at. I'm so innately good at not only design, but I'm good at. This stuff sounds weird. Prices of things, the value of things. I could have been great at Prices Right, I'll tell you. But I know that I know that because I can look at a store and tell you how much that piece of clothing is worth, what that vase would be. I just know the quality of things. I just innately know that. And I knew, because I once said, what is that from? And I heard it and saw it. I was a merchant. I was a merchant ships. I was involved in merchant shipping and values, goods and trade in the India, British merchants, and also China. Yeah.
Fascinating. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah. Okay, now the question, I think, and then we,
Okay, so then I'll bring in Vicky. Vicky?
I think there's a little delay, I think, probably.
Oh, I think she might have just left the phone call, so then I'll bring in Michelle. Michelle, you're in the studio. Please ask your question.
Yes, you guys were talking to about spirit guides.
Yes.
I just want to know what my spirit guide. I know I have one, but can it be any specific guide? And how do you talk to them? Who starts first? Do you start? Do they start? What? I don't know who starts.
Okay, the first part of the question, I didn't understand the first part of your question, sweetheart.
I think she asked who was her spirit guide, and I don't think we were going to do that tonight.
Yeah. Now when I got to, but there are ways. Did you hear us talk about contacting? How you contact them? So you can sit in the quiet and ask them to come through and stand behind you, and just and you sit in that quiet, just feel your breath, work with the breath, and pay attention to be mindful of the space all around you, and ask a guide to come in. And when that space changes, you can ask, "Who are you? How do you help me? What is your mission with me? Are you a healer guide? Are you a philosophy guide? Are you a medical guide? Which kind of guide are you? What do you help me in my life? What is your job?" And that's how you can do that. And you can also either write a letter to them too and ask them to come in that way, or before you go to sleep at night, send out a thought to you, please come to my dreams, or please come to, and that will happen. You gotta be patient.
Oh, perfect.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Michelle. All right. Bye. All right.
Now, something very interesting too. What happens to your guides when you pass over to the side? Do you see them? Yes, you'll see your guides, and yes, and then you might have a whole new set depending on the new circumstances that you're putting yourself in. When I was a little kid, you probably too, the Game of Life was always fascinating. Remember that board game, the Game of Life?
Sure do. Mm-hmm.
It was my favorite. I remember it was my favorite board game. And with Monopoly, with the Game of Life, I remember, this is really true. And I was a kid, so this stuff does happen. So, we change, we come back in certain circumstances so we'll have a new set of guides. But there are some that'll stay with us forever. So, and can someone, and this is another question people ask all the time, can a family member, can a partner pass over, a child, can they become your guide? The answer is yes, they can become your guide because they might feel they didn't do enough for you when they were living with you in the physical realm. So now in the mental realm, they have plenty of time, plenty of time to help you to be the best you can be. Put it that way.
I have a question along those lines. If your spouse passes away, I get asked this all the time.
I know what you're going to ask me.
Will they help you find another spouse?
All the time. All the time. Every time. Well, many times I've done readings to that exact circumstance, whether the wife goes over, the husband goes over. I had a joke. Just check that. But it's a good one. They want you to be loved. Love is everything. So they do not want you to stay lonely your whole life. They love you so much that they are on the other side trying to find that love. They're making things happen. But the person left behind might feel grief-stricken, might feel that was only true love, I'll never meet anyone. It depends on the mindset that the person left behind has. But they should always remember that their highest good, love, is the answer. And that might be fulfilling not only their destiny, but their partner passed over, their destiny to find you another love. So we have to be open to doing that. And this is an interesting one too to think of. It's a thing we can ponder on. I had a reading once, and a lady's mother and father came together. They were married for over 50, 60 years, lived in the 90s. And she said, well, I said, they're not together. She goes, well, what do you mean that can't be right? I said, they're not in the same place. She goes, well, they had to be 50 years. They were part of each other. I said, not necessarily over there. On Earth they were, but over there, you go to that space that you have an affinity toward, and you're attracted to, and the other person does as well. My parents aren't together. They see each other, but they don't have to live together because that's done. It's completed, perhaps. Or you can, depending if that's what you can do, what you choose to do. But I found that many times over there, you just go to that space you need to go to prepare, to do work, or service work you want to do. And remember, we do prepare before we go back in the incarnation. We prepare. And we have teachers over there. We have guides over there, just like we have teachers and professors here who help us along to, again, understand our soul self. And really, just to understand the human part, the human self. Now, this is another interesting thing. There are guides who, let's say, are going to school, guide school, in spirit levels, and they will come into the spirit, into the earth world, and they'll observe goings on in an argument, in a hospital, in a courtroom, in a, all different situations. And they will. It's almost like, it reminds me of in the hospital sometimes with interns. And you're in a hospital where they have groups of these interns coming in white coats, and they're showing the examples. Same thing. Where they come down here and visit us all the time. But later on, they can understand how to deal with a person going through this type of crisis, in certain situation.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
Isn't it? As above, so below. Yeah.
Fascinating. Wow.
Yeah, I worked. This is a funny one. I was working with a lady. She wanted me to give her mother a read. She died of cancer. So I went to this place in the Valley in California, San Fernando Valley, and I had ladies in bed, and we were reading, and her husband came through, and then her other husband, and then her other husband, and then her other husband. She was married 5 times.
Okay, that's great.
She had a great New York sense of humor. She was what the hell is he doing here? She was great. So then what happened was she passes over, and the daughter calls me up, wants a reading. We do a reading, and the mother comes through. She's really angry at me. She's so angry. She said, I said, who'd you end up with? She goes, none of that. I can't stand him over here either. It was hysterical. They said, I'm really mad at you. I'm like, mad at me? She goes, you didn't really tell me how great it was. Because I didn't know. I'm limited in my union, but she said it's beyond expectations. It's living in a dream. It's like your wildest dreams come true.
Isn't that wild? It's so funny. I've had people tell me they've lost 2 or 3 husbands, and they'll say, "Well, who's going to come and get me?" And I mean, and it's kind of an interesting thing. And it's always, well, who do you want to come and get you?
And it'll usually be, it'll be all of them. But the one, always remember that love never dies. So that energy of love continues on the other side as well, even stronger. And they will come, they will assist you over. I mean, going over. It's not, everyone should know, when you die, it's not a big deal. It's nothing. It's just like an overcoat off. When you die every night and go to sleep, you just don't remember it because it goes subconsciously, but you consciously just dose off it, and you're out of the body. 1, 2, 3. There's no pain in death. There can be pain leading up to it. If there's a disease or a sickness, an illness, there can be pain and discomfort. But that's where I believe pain medication comes in. I believe morphine, if I'm in a condition like that, take me out. If I can't have a life that's, for me personally, take me out. That was, suicide, things that assisted passing. I believe, like, if you're in your 80s or you have a disease that you can't, I think it's okay to alleviate the pain. I don't think we're meant to alleviate pain. So I think it's okay there, euthanasia. I really do. We do it for animals. Why can't we do it for the humans? The human egos of the humans. That's why. The human egos. And control. Control. Release control of a better, happier life. I'll tell you that.
All right. Oh my God. Somebody, a gal named Allie writes, do you think a person who's passed over and did you wrong on the physical life, could they become your guide and help you get past the wrong that they did to you? That's a great question.
Very, very much so. Happens all the time. Well, I think I've told this before, Kelly. I say the story a lot, but it's a great one. A lady passes over, and her daughter came from a reading, or granddaughter this year. And she said, she asked what it was like when she first passed. And she said, well, it was a bit strange. The atmosphere was strange. People coming up to me, and one was a guide of mine. And I explained it, and he was showing her around. And he said, before you continue, you have to go visit someplace. So he brings her to what looked like a hospital. And there, lying in a bed, is a man who's unconscious. And she looks at that man, and she said, oh, my God, that was a Nazi guard that killed my family in prison. Wow. And the guy said, he cannot wake up until you forgive him.
No, I've not heard that story.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I want to remember that one.
That's a good one. I think I put it in a book. It's a classic, that one. And I do believe that we have to be in positions that we did something wrong. We have to, the next position, we have to receive what we gave out. So as I mentioned before in the show, that my lifetime in general, some people didn't kill people, millions of people. Now I came back to right my wrongs, and I helped to heal millions of people like that. So we have to see from both angles. We got to learn both sides of the coin.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Humans are so funny. The more they grow, the older I grow, the more I realize humans are so limited in their concepts, their belief system. They're so limiting. And I don't know why that is, but I don't know. I just don't know. I played the song you heard me today, Sonata Curve, and Grace, and by Grace. And to me, grace is God. Having grace is having God, having faith. It's not a human being with a beard. That's made up apology. it's that energy. It's pure love.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Wow. Oh my gosh, I
well,
love this.
should I pull a card?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm drinking ginger and apple juice.
Ooh, I bet it's
Yeah,
good. Good for you.
too much sugar.
Oh.
Didn't realize that. I'm doing a whole new diet in January.
Me too.
So this is I wrote the book Wisdom of the Guides, which is a really excellent book, and anything you want to know guides, a very good book. And then this is accompanying a spirit gave me a card deck. Hey, how's one do a card deck? And I said, just to see what guides want. And they said you'll do messages from us. So these are actual messages from the spirit guides. So as a general consensus here for our group. So this is for everybody. So this is for everyone. So I'm going to shuffle, Kelly.
Okay.
The backs of the cards, pretty, eh?
So pretty. I love these cards.
They're great cards to
Yeah.
use. Okay, so I'm going to spread them all over my desk here. And put my fingers all over it, and then I'm going to ask you. And you can get 1 card, 2 or 3 cards. So you could tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Okay, what's this one? Okay, you want another one?
Yep. Stop.
Can you do that one more time? It's the card deck split.
Oh, okay. Stop.
Okay, and one more. This is for everyone in the room. It's
Stop.
Oh, I feel like Stevie Wonder here playing the keyboard.
It's a fun game. I like this game.
Fun, right?
The game of life, the new way of Zoom way of life. I like it.
Okay, so let's see. So this is the back. The first one picked was. Okay, this is how this stuff works, folks, because we're not doing it. They are.
Yeah.
What were you saying about this eclipse?
Today's a great day. Express your feelings. Exactly what this eclipse is about. Expressing your feelings, speaking your truth, bringing in your higher power and speaking your truth. Express yourself. Know thyself.
Thy own self be true.
Mm-hmm.
That's a freedom, by the way. That will get us free. That'll make us free.
Yeah.
That'll unbind us from karma in many ways.
Yeah.
Next one is
practice moderation.
And that's true in all things in life.
Yeah.
You know, don't indulge in anything too much. It'll destroy you in many ways, on many levels.
Yeah. So
And
true.
the last one. So weird. Oh, it chills.
Okay. Feel joy in all you do. And we were just talking about that, about joy guides. So maybe there are a lot of joy guides coming out right now.
Oh, I think so, because people are depressed because of COVID. And everything's happening. There are more light beings around us now than ever before that I know.
Ever before.
Yeah, I know that to be true. I know that. Sorry, I know that to be true. That's interesting. I get that statement a lot when I know spirits there. And they're, because I go into this. I know that to be true.
Yeah, I know that to be true.
You probably have some of those sayings that you.
All of a sudden they just pop in. Yeah.
Yeah.
I live on a farm now, so I get a lot of them. Like, stop and smell the roses. No, really smell them.
And the fertilizer.
Fertilizer. Talk to the cows. Yeah.
Yeah. So for people that are want to know more about the guys, please go. The book is great, and also my school, the JP School of Mystical Arts. I have an actual course on contacting guides, working with your guides. It's a great course for that if you're interested. The description is on the school, so you should go to school for the descriptions and see what's available. There's 42 different courses, all different types of courses.
Oh, and there's a great one, that 28-day transformation
course
would be great with these eclipses right now.
Oh yeah, and there's tools for highly sensitive as well.
Oh, great one.
And then Friday night, Kelly and I will be back, and we're going to be doing psychic readings.
Psychic readings, which is really always fun.
Always fun, Friday. And then Saturday, you're doing
bad dads.
Bad dads. Bad dads.
Bad dads. So if you've had a bad dad, please come and join us Saturday.
Yeah, because it'll give you a whole new awareness and perspective of your dad, which you might not have. You might be holding a grudge, the worst thing you can do, holding a grudge, and you want to release it. You'll teach them how to release it.
We're going to talk about releasing that, and we're also going to talk about different types. I mean, you may have had a narcissistic dad. You may have had a abandoned dad. I mean, whatever it is, wherever the wound is, that's what we're going to go into and really work on that wound.
And somebody asked me about Chiron. And I remember what you said. Chiron is
wounded healer. Chiron is the wounded healer, and I still think it's still retrograde right now. I don't think it's gone direct yet. I have to look. I don't think so. And it's in Aries. Yeah. So it's a real interesting time.
It feels like it's around now.
Yeah, I think it may have just come up now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to maybe just throw something out to people here. A little fun thing to do. So maybe tonight or tomorrow, think of something new in your life you want to do, something you want to accomplish. Maybe it's making a garden. Maybe it's taking up knitting or a painting or whatever it might be. Something fun that you will do that you'll follow through with. And once you start doing it or going to a store and buying supplies, whatever it might be, I want you to tune into a guide, ask if a guide in that specialty is around you. And as you're doing it, become aware of them being around you. So for me, I became very aware of a new guy, a whole bunch of new guys. When I was doing my gardening and flowers, I was aware of a new guy who used to do flower work down here on the earth, who came to me. And that was very, very interesting, very, very fascinating. So that will, because your mindset is that hobby or that new self, and you're going to be, it's an adventure. Yeah. And just another way of tuning into a different type of guide there. So try that. And that helps you get out of your same old thing. We've been in a rut, Groundhog Day for the past year. Do something new that you've always wanted to do, something new, and do it within this week. This week. Monday? Yeah, this week.
Absolutely. And talk to your guides. Talk. That's what I did for 3 years. But I think now things are moving up quicker, a lot more quicker.
It's true, because it's transformation. Things are happening much faster now. So everybody should be feeling that. So.
Yeah. Susan says, so grateful to hear your take, James, on the ascension of the soul. She's a medium here in Canada. Thank you. Kellee as well. Great questions. Great night here. I'm grateful. Blessings and be healthy, y'all. Keep your immune systems high. So, Susan, that is so right on. I drink my green drink every day. You're drinking your ginger apple.
Yep.
It's very true.
I have yoga every day. I do yoga. I do Pilates. I love it. I can do a lot of good. I'm open now. So my yoga instructor, Dana tomorrow, who's going to be on our show one day, she's a master teacher. She was working with me. She goes, I'm just so impressed. I'm so happy. So she goes, you're open. You're open. You don't need blocks anymore. You can touch. And I love yoga. It's just fabulous.
Well, and speaking of Dana, she does a great meditation on Friday nights.
She does a great meditation. Friday she'll be Friday. And she also on her website, danademar.com, she did a whole thing on the eclipse as well, a whole video, and it's incredible. I watched it last night, and it's just what Kellee said, and more. It's
and December brings up a bunch of things. Yeah. So I think she talks about all that. Yeah.
She does. Yeah, she's great. So, well, thank you, Kellee. Appreciate it.
Thank you, James. Thanks, you, Renee.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We love you. Thank you very much.
You've been listening to Both Sides Now and Beyond, featuring spiritual medium and master teacher James Van Praagh and spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kellee White.
The James and Kellee Show.